Hello again, and welcome back to the Latex Modified Concrete Working Group's weekly briefing on high-performance latex modified concrete. Thanks for joining us. I'm Pat Martins with Bridge Preservation and Inspection Services reporting for the working group. We are still in our series on pre-pour considerations for HPLMC overlays. This week, we are going to talk about the material storage on site and the testing of the HPLMC mix prior to dispensing. Since HPLMC is volumetrically mixed, it will be necessary to calibrate the mixer and have all the needed components on site, stored or stockpiled in convenient locations to work with in close proximity to the bridge, in order to efficiently recharge the mixer for continuous pouring. So before we get into the actual calibration of the volumetric mixer, I want to touch on the storage of these materials. First of all, there needs to be an approved mix design to work from. All the concrete materials will need to be certified that they meet the owner's requirements for the mix. The supplier or contractor will submit all the material certifications and the mix design to the agency for their approval prior to proceeding. So where and how are we going to store material? You'll want to establish your aggregate stockpiles 3 to 5 days before the scheduled pour. This allows excess water to drain out. Plus, you want to cover the stockpiles with plastic to protect them from rain and debris and make sure they are kept from being contaminated during the loading process. In warmer weather, you may want to try and locate these in areas that are protected from out of the sun if possible. You may even have to put a sprinkler to the coarse aggregate to keep enough moisture in it. The latex will be in a tanker or totes. It should be stored out of the sunlight and kept cool. In the summer, it may be necessary to refrigerate the latex to keep temperature down. Same can be said for the water being used. You may need to cool it or even add ice to help try and keep the concrete temperature lower. Things you do for hot weather concrete, you want to try to do for batching HPLMC. Remember, the concrete temperature is one of the factors that plays into the evaporation rate. Likewise, adhere to cold weather concreting practices in the field. For instance, you may need to warm the water when temperatures are colder. The cement needs to be kept dry, and make sure aerators and vibrators are used to keep cement from sticking to the inside of the tank or bridging in the tank. Use potable water for the mixing water. Now let's switch gears and talk about the testing of HPLMC at the site. This will include the standard tests you're already probably aware of: slump, air, compressive strength testing. The testing equipment will be supplied by the contractor, his testing agency, or the DOT or agency that has project oversight. A yield box will also be needed. The preliminary testing of the truck should be done before backing onto the deck. The testing for slump is different than that for Portland cement concrete. The concrete is dispensed from the mixer and allowed to rest for 4 to 5 minutes prior to conducting the test. A standard slump cone is then filled per ASTM guidelines and pulled and the slump recorded. Typical specifications call for a 3-inch to 7-inch slump for HPLMC when used with a Type 1 cement. When using a very early strength HPLMC, the slump is normally specified in the range of 6 inches to as much as 10 inches. While HPLMC does not have air entraining agent, the mix may entrap air to a certain level. This is normally allowable up to 7% for most specifications. A dosing agent may be used if necessary to help control air. Cylinders can be made and cured on site and allowed to sit until such time as it is appropriate to move them for compressive strength testing. It's important to cure the cylinders in the same manner as the overlay is being cured for the entire length of the curing period at the site before moving them if possible. Some agencies may use beams instead of cylinders, testing for flexure in lieu of or in conjunction with compressive testing. The yield box is used to verify that the amount of concrete dispensed does in fact yield what the volumetric mixer says it will. This is typically a 1/4 yard box, 36 inches by 36 inches by 9 inches deep, that is placed directly on a relatively flat part of the deck at the point of dispensing in front of the finishing machine. The 1/4 yard box should be filled and then verify that the reading from the truck does in fact correspond to a 1/4 yard of material dispensed. The concrete placed in the box is acceptable for use in the pour, and the box can just be pulled to allow the tested concrete to be used within the deck overlay placement. And that will wrap up this week's topic. Join us again next week as we're going to go out on site and look at the calibration of a mobile mixer. Continue to check us out on the socials, and if you have a question about today's topic or anything regarding latex modified concrete, hit us up on email at lmcwg@bridgepreservation.net. Hey, let's continue to extend the life of our bridge decks by preserving them with HPLMC overlays. See you next time.